Okay, so coming for 2015, now 2015 we did see a full question. Now given that 2014 was an easy paper, 2015 went back to normal. So here in the 2015 paper, there is one subpart, there is another subpart, there is another subpart, there is another subpart, right? You have calculations as well. And remember guys, when I told you, when you get calculations, it's almost like a free mark, no? There is a bit of numbering issue here, but we can do the questions. Okay, we'll see. Question number 1 says, consider the following aggregate consumption function. C equals A plus B by D. In this equation, C is aggregate consumption expenditure, YD is disposable level of income. Explain how to interpret coefficient A and B. Very easy, right? So for 2 marks, you write what is A. What is A, guys? You can say the component A refers to what? Autonomous expenditure. What does that mean? Now you can't just say A is autonomous expenditure. You need to say this means the level of expenditure or the level of consumption that does not depend on whatever the income is. The consumption that does not depend on the level of income. That is what you call autonomous consumption. Whether your income is 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, your A component will not change. So say that is autonomous. Say that it is the consumption that does not depend on what? On the level of income. It does not depend on the level of income. And then you also can go and say, guys, what else can you say about this? You can also say when income, so this is even present, right? This is present even when y equals 0. You can say that even when income is 0, you still have that A component. So in other words, what can you say? Economically, what does this mean, guys? This says that this is the minimum amount that you require for survival, no? Even if you don't have a job, even if your income is 0, if you're still spending on something, that's the minimum that you need for survival. So you can say, right, this also represents the minimum needed for survival. You can say something like that. That is more than enough, guys. Those points are more than enough for you to get your 2 marks. Yes, that's 4 marks. Interpret A and B. Then you go to your next one. The next one says to interpret your B component. You can say, what is your B, guys? This is also known as the marginal propensity to consume. What does this show? This shows that when income increases, what portion of it? Yes, you can say this is taken from savings, no problem. Yeah. Then for B, you can say that this is what? When income increases, what portion of it is consumed? That's what you call MPC, right? So when income rises, the portion of it that is consumed. That's what you call MPC. If you want, give a small example. You can say if income increases by 1,000 and if a consumer uses 800 of it for consumption, then marginal propensity to consume would be a 0.8. You can give something small like that. And you can also say, guys, what can you tell about the marginal propensity to consume, the B component as income increases? What happens to MPC? Does it increase or does it decrease? It's change in consumption when what happens to MPC when income increases? What happens? Others? When income increases MPC, does it increase or does it decrease? MPC. Most of you all are wrong. MPC remains constant. Remember guys, MPC is the slope of your curve. This is highly tested every day, right? Marginal propensity to consume, your B component is the slope of your curve. Whether your income increases or decreases, you still have a constant slope. We don't have a consumption curve going like this, no, where the slope is increasing. Then you can say MPC is rising. We don't have a curve like this where the slope is falling. Then you can say MPC is falling. When in our syllabus, our consumption curve is a straight line. So what does that mean? That means our MPC is constant. Change in consumption over change in income is constant. So you can highlight that. You can say, right, regardless of the level of income, the marginal propensity to consume remains constant. So MPC, let's say, for example, if it's 0.8, at any level of income, it will be 0.8. Whether you earn 100,000, 500,000 or 1 million, it's going to be 0.8. It doesn't increase or decrease. Now, just take the consumption function. Just because income increases, the B doesn't change. The B into YD will change. So 0.8 into 0.8 into whatever your income, that total value will change. But that 0.8 doesn't change. Yes, same thing, MPS is also constant. If MPC is constant, MPS will also automatically be constant, right? So those are points that you have to remember, guys. Those were highly tested in MCQs, and I did highlight when we did this in MCQs. By now, you all should be picking these up, guys. These are not difficult areas. Okay. Now, so you can also say MPC is constant. Is that okay? Fine. Can you all explain that for 4 marks? 2 marks A. For 2 marks, you write your about your B component. Okay. Then we'll go into the next question. Now, what is meant by equilibrium level of national income? Yes, MPC represents how when income increases, which portion of it do you consume? For example, if MPC is 0.8 means if income increases by 1 unit, consumption will increase by 0.8 units. So let's take rupees. If income increases by 1 rupee, consumption will increase by 0.8 rupees, or in other words, 80 cents. That is what MPC means. The B component. Okay. Now, what is meant by equilibrium level of national income? What are the conditions required? Can you see this is the same thing that was repeated? Yeah. So what is equilibrium level of national income? You write the definition that we spoke about on Tuesday, or get the definition from your textbook. Simple thing that we've already spoken. No, so you can say equilibrium is situation where there is no tendency for it to either for this national income to either increase or decrease. The level of national income that is at this level is known as the equilibrium level of national income. Right? For 2 marks, you write that story. Then what are the conditions? Remember the conditions I told you all. There are 3 conditions, and don't just write the conditions as Y equals Z, W equals J. Properly tell what the conditions are. Okay. Total, how do you say Y equals Z? You can say total output. Okay. Total output equals the total expenditure. Can you also say chosen by demand and supply? That's okay, but you have to give the other definition first. And then you can say, also in this situation, aggregate demand will equal to aggregate supply. You can do that, but you need to explain the main Y equals Z part first, where there is no tendency for this output to increase, decrease. That's the main one. The aggregate demand, aggregate supply thing is also okay, but that has to come after. Okay. So total output equals total expenditure, or you can say that is the Y equals E approach. The total withdrawals equals total injections, W equals J. Aggregate demand of the economy is equal to aggregate supply, that is AD equals AS. And you can give in those conditions. You don't have to explain the conditions also, because they're simply asking what are the conditions. You see, now this is something that you have to be mindful, guys. You see, they are saying what are the conditions required for in an open economy. Why do you think they put that word? That means they want you to show what are the components. So when you say y equals e, here you can say y is equal to e, y is equal to c plus I plus g plus nx. Write that, because they are asking for an open economy. So write that equation and so. Then when you say w equals j, write that here savings, taxes and imports will equal to what? Investment, government spending and exports. Then you're clear, right? Look here, in an open economy, there is the government and also the foreign sector. So there is things like this as well. These are the conditions. So be very specific. Don't read the question halfway and stop. They would have added a small part to make it a little different from the last year. Is that okay, guys? Can handle 2015 question 2? Okay. Right. Then, guys, we'll move to the next. Suppose in a closed economy, savings are greater than investments. Under such a situation, how does the economy achieve macroeconomic equilibrium? That's what they're asking. Remember, guys, we study this involuntary inventory accumulation and shortage. Remember in our diagram, okay, I'll put all of this together. In dark blue over here, I'll draw the y equals E line and the expenditure line. This is the expenditure, this is the y equals E. Then you have on red, I'll draw the withdrawals and the injections. I'll draw it on the same. Okay. So we'll have, this is your withdrawals. Sorry, this is your injections. Okay. This is your withdrawals. Okay, so I'm drawing both y equals E and w equals j on the same diagram. Now look at this. Whatever method that you use, your equilibrium can't change here. According to y equals E and w equals j, your equilibrium level of national income is the same. The same, no? You can't have different numbers using the different approach. So then, guys, you know what you can say? Here they are saying when savings is greater than investment. What is savings? Savings is a withdrawal, right? It's greater than your injections. So which side of the diagram are we, guys? On the left side of equilibrium or on the right side of equilibrium? Think and tell me. Where are we? Where savings are greater. In other words, where withdrawals are greater than injections. Left or right? We are on the right side, right? Don't you think? Your equilibrium point is this, right? So here withdrawals are greater. Is on the right side of the equilibrium, no? So what can you say, guys? You can say when savings is greater than investment in an economy, what happens? What is greater, Y or E? Compare Y and E. What can you say? You can say when savings is greater than investment, you can also say Y is greater than E. How? Look at the right side of the diagram. In the right side of the diagram, can you see over here? This is, remember I told you, when interpreting the Y equals E line, think of that as your income line. Then you have the flatter expenditure curve. So you can see the Y equals E line is higher than the expenditure, no? So the output is more than the expenditure there. So you can say that. So you can say in such a situation, what would happen, guys? How can you reach equilibrium? In such a situation, what can happen? You can say what should happen to the output of the economy when S is greater than I. In other words, when Y is greater than E, what should happen? Okay, how will the economy achieve equilibrium level? To achieve equilibrium, you can say, right, to achieve equilibrium, the output, right? Since output is greater than expenditure, no? The output of the economy will have to reduce, or will have to, let's say, decrease. So in other words, you can say firms will cut down on production. Okay, they will they will produce less than what they did before. So you can say firms cut down on production and all of that. Then as a result, you can say then, right, the economy will then head into, right, so as long as savings are greater than investment, or Y is greater than E, the firm will keep on cutting down production. The firms will cut down, output will reduce, and then at one point you can say the economy will get back into equilibrium, where Y equals E and S equals savings equals investment. Until you reach that point, the output will have to reduce. So you're currently where? You're currently, according to the diagram, you're somewhere around here, guys. On. Okay. According to the diagram, if I am to shade, you're currently somewhere in this yellow shaded area. Can't see, okay. You're somewhere, oops. You're somewhere in this yellow shaded area in the diagram, where savings are more than investment. In other words, where Y is greater than E. So they are asking, in a situation like this, how will the economy reach equilibrium? So you start your answer by saying when savings is greater than investment, that is when withdrawals are greater than injections, the aggregate output will be greater than the aggregate expenditure. Start your answer like that. And then you can say, in a situation like this, the aggregate output of an economy will have to decrease, because there is so much of output, people are going to spend only a little, no? Because the planned expenditure is lesser, but we have produced a much higher output, you have to now reduce the output. So no point. So therefore you can say the aggregate output will have to reduce. And then you can say the aggregate output will continue to reduce until the economy reaches the equilibrium where Y equals E. Until you come to this Y equals E point, what will you do? You can say aggregate demand and aggregate supply also, but it's better if you use Y equals E, guys. That's a better way to put this answer, rather than saying aggregate demand and supply. Okay, talk about Y equals E. Okay, so you can say, look here, right now we are here. If you want, you can draw a diagram also, but I don't think the question will give you marks for a diagram, but you can draw if you want. Okay, and you can say, look here, until you reduce until this level, it will keep on reducing until you reach equilibrium, where savings is equal to investment. Now see, they are saying, no, guys, it's a closed economy. So in a closed economy, right, you can show how it comes down. Is that okay? Can you all figure that out? All right. Suppose S is greater, then it has to happen the other way, guys. So if if investments are greater, so if investments are greater, then you're in this side of the diagram, no? If investments are greater, I'll try to shade it with another color. If investments are greater, you're on the blue shaded area here, where injections are more than withdrawals, or you can say where expenditure is greater than the output. Planned expenditure is more than the output. So in that kind of a situation, you say that the output has to increase. Yeah, output has to increase because people are willing to spend more. Can you see the aggregate expenditure curve is higher than the dotted Y equals E line, no? In the blue shaded area. So then you say, look here, output has to increase for it to reach equilibrium. So that is what you all have to think. It's good that you all are thinking that, because in your year, what can happen is they will twist this question a little. Now here they said S is greater than. On your year, what they can do is they'll twist it the other way. So whenever you all are doing past papers, guys, try to think the other side also. What if something like this comes? What do I do there? Because that's what they will do in your paper. Sometimes they might take this exact same question and plug in, but sometimes they'll make a small change. They'll put a small, they'll change the increase into decrease or greater than, they'll make it lesser than, and they'll ask you to explain. That's the point of doing fast pay first. Okay, so question number 3 is done. Then we'll go into question number 4. Yes, I think my numbering is a little off here for question number 4. The following macroeconomic data is given for a closed economy. For a 4-mark thing is, ideally your answer can be in either you can have 2 paragraphs or maybe 4 proper points. Points in the sense not like one small point. Like one point can be like a one small paragraph. Let's say one small paragraph of like 2 to 3 lines. You can have 4 small paragraphs like that, or have 2 big paragraphs, one of 5 lines, another of a little 5 lines. I think it's enough. So you don't have to write too much also. But remember, it's not always about the number of lines. The proper words have to be there. Don't expect to write 1 page of nonsense and expect to get 4 marks. If the proper words are not there, they're not going to give you marks. Okay. So remember, guys, in the econ paper, you don't have to write too much also. But in your A-level paper, guys, write what you all know. Don't omit stuff and stuff. Write what you know. But have in mind, you don't have to write very, paragraphs and paragraphs, pages and pages answers only there. As long as the key words are there, as long as you have clearly explained, maybe if you can give an example to back up your explanation, I think it's more than enough. Okay. Now, then question 4. The following macroeconomic data is given for a closed economy. Consumption, investment, government purchases, taxes, and government transfers. Determine the equilibrium level of national income. Because I think this has to be A, no? My question numbering is wrong. I have missed the bullet point on first. This has to be A. So this is A. Then this is B. Expenditure multiplier is C. Then this part is D. Okay, right. We'll do the calculation, guys. Very easy. 8 marks. These are my favorite 8 marks to get, because it's almost like 3 marks. Okay. So determine equilibrium level of national income. How do you determine equilibrium level of national income? You can start off by saying at equilibrium, Y equals E. So at equilibrium, Y equals E. That means, what are the components of E? In E, you have consumption, investment, and government spending. It's a closed economy, so there is no net exports. Then you can say Y is equal to, consumption is 50 plus 0.8 YD. Investment is 120. Government spending is 100. Okay. Then you can simplify by adding all the numbers. 50 plus 120 plus 100. How much do you get? 220, 270. So you can say Y is equal to 270 plus 0.8 YD. You can say this. Now, can you just solve this like this? You can't. What should you do? You need to convert the YD into Y. Okay. So how do you convert the YD into Y? No, previous question diagram is not necessary. If you want, you can draw a diagram, but the question doesn't ask. Okay. Now, so remember, Y is equal to 270 plus 0.8. Yes. How do you get YD? So remember, your Y from your income, if you minus taxes and add transfers from your income, if you minus taxes and add transfers, you get disposable income, no, YD. Are you clear with that? How I change the YD into Y minus T plus TR? Now remember this, guys. Your disposable income is equal to your income minus taxes plus any transfers. That is what disposable income is. And disposable income is how much of income you get to your hand. So they promised you 100,000 salary. You had to pay 10,000 tax from that. You got a 5,000 transfer. So your disposable income, what you actually got to your hand is only 95,000. 100,000, 10,000 went for taxes, 90,000. You got a 5,000 transfer. So you get 95,000 as disposable income. Now, usually in questions, guys, they don't sometimes give you No, YD is not this personal income, it's disposable income. Okay. So usually in questions, they don't give you this transfer. Now, good, in this question, they have given you the transfer. Usually in questions, they only give taxes. So then only y minus t. But here there are transfers also. That means y minus t plus the transfers. Sometimes in questions, what they do, guys, is they give you net taxes. So instead of giving taxes and transfers separately, instead what they can do is here 80 minus 55. 80 minus 55. So net taxes are taxes minus transfers, guys. So they can say net taxes is 25. That's what you usually see in most questions. They directly say net taxes. But if they have not given, you can find net taxes. No, taxes are there, transfers are there. So then we'll put the numbers and see, guys. So y 270 plus 0.8, y minus tax is how much? Our question is saying tax is 80. So I'll say 80. Transfers are how much? 55. So now, guys, when you're solving the brackets, we use a little bit of common sense. You don't have to multiply 0.8 by 80 and 0.8 by again 55. That's hard, no? So simplify that thing inside first. Okay. So what you can do is say, look here, y is equal to 270 plus 0.8 y minus 80 plus 55 is how much? Minus 25, no? Minus 25. Say that. You simplify the 80 and the 55. That makes it easier. Then I'll continue the calculation this way. Okay. So then you can say y is equal to 270 plus 0.8. Now let's remove the brackets. 0.8 into y, 0.85. 0.8 into minus 25 is a minus 20. So then y is equal to 250 plus 0.8. Then y minus 0.8y equals 250. 0.2y equals 250. You all know y means 1y. So then y is equal to what? Y is equal to 250 divided by 0.2. That is equal to how much? 1,250. Can you all handle a question like that? An equilibrium level of national income. Step. No, if it's net taxes, then y minus NT. If it's net taxes. So either it's this or it's y minus net taxes. Then the next question. The next question that we have is, if the government purchases rises to 200 million, what would be the new level of national income? So now just see, guys, in parts, now this is why you have to read the next question also. Usually when you're doing like a calculation, read all the sub questions. Don't do one sub question and read the next one. Now see, in the next one only they are asking what is the value of the government expenditure multiplier. So therefore in this question, now if you know MPC 0.8, multiplier is 5. If government spending increases by 200, national income will increase by 1,000. So this 1,250 will become 2,250. Don't give your answer in that approach, because they have not even asked you to, their next requirement is asking you to calculate the expenditure multiplier. So then what you can do is do the longer method now. So they're asking if government purchases rises to 200. So do the same calculation. Now what you do is, instead of government purchases of 100, you put government purchases 200. And you do the calculation. Now I'm not going to do the calculation again for y'all. Do you get, for those who did, do you get the final answer as 2,250? No, not 2,250. 1,750. No, it increases to 200. No, so you have to get 1,750. Yes. Do you all get 1750. So it has increased by, I'm just using common sense, increased by 100, multiply is 5. Okay. So do the same calculation, right? That is for part B. The only difference you do is instead of 100, you put there 200. See whether you get the final answer of 1750. Now they're asking you in the next question, what is the value of the expenditure multiplier? Other method is also okay, but ideally they expect you to do the longer method, because in the next one they're asking for the multiplier. Now in the second question, it's in part B itself, if you have calculated the multiplier, it doesn't make sense much. So that's why you read all the other questions. Just see whether your past paper marking scheme gives marks for the other method also. Ideally, it has to be the longer one. Okay. Then value of government expenditure multiplier. So you know the government expenditure multiplier is, I'll say kg is 1 over 1 minus MPC. So where is our MPC? Menna metana here 0.8. That is our MPC. So then you can say 1 over 1 minus 0.8, that is 1 over 0.2. So our expenditure multiplier is how much? 5 times. This is what you have to do for part C. They're just asking for the multiplier. Then you go to part D. Part D is saying, if the government intends to achieve the target of national income of 2000, what would be the required level of government purchases? You can start at any point, even at 1250, or you can start at 1750. Where did you all start from? At which point did you start? 1250 or 1750? Because at part A it's 1250, in part B the answer you get is 1750. I think you can start at any point, right? Because the final answer you get should be the same. Can someone check and let me know where has the past paper answer started from? Are they talking about 1250 going to 2000 or 1750 going to 2000? Just check and let me know. I'll explain both the ways, but you have to get the same answer. Where have they? Okay, we'll take 1250 to start with. Okay, so when the government spending was equal to 100, your national income was equal to 1750. Either you can start here, or you can start at when your government spending was 200. Sorry, this was 1250. Okay, 1250. When this is 200, it was 1750. So the past paper starts at 1700, right? So then we'll do 1750. See, yes, tell me, how can we do this? Simple, right? Remember, we get this in MCQs. Your multiplier is equal to change in national income divided by change in government spending. Multiplier, they said, this 5 times. Change in national income, how much do you want? Your current national income is 1750. No, now here don't substitute 2000 to the equation, guys. You do that, that method is wrong, because they are expecting you to use the multiplier now. That was a hint that came from part C. Now part C is telling, no, part C is telling us what should be the value of, what is the expenditure multiplier. So that means they're expecting you in part D to use this multiplier and come in the answer. You can get 2000 equals and you can get that, but that is not the ideal thing. Maybe that's what is there in your past paper, but that's not the original marking scheme. Just check. I don't know if anyone has the original markings. Yes, these past paper answers are written by someone. Okay. For example, even I can publish my own past paper book. I can write answers for all the past papers and I get the publisher and I can this thing. So remember, sometimes your past paper answers are not 100% correct. Usually they look at the marking scheme only and do it. But some people, they come up with their own stuff. So the more better method is to show it this way. So you can show how much of a change in national income do you want? You currently have 1750. You need to go to 2000. So to go to, no, it doesn't matter which where we start, I'll show you why. Okay. So change in national income we want is a 250. So to get this 250 change, how much should government spending change by, guys? Do the maths and give me a number. How much should government spending change by? Work around. There has to be a change in government spending of 50. Okay, that is not what they are asking. No, they are asking us what would be the required level of government purchases. So currently it is 200. So you can say the required level will be 200 plus you need another 50 now. So how much of a government purchase do you want? If government purchases are 250, let's say 250 million, then you can reach the full employment level of 2000. Is that clear? If government expenditure is 250, you can reach the required level of 2000. Even if you start with the other point, let me show you this. Now see, let's say you start with 1250. So at 1250, right? Remember, same equation, K is equal to change in national income divided by change in government spending. Now, from 1250 to go to 2000, how much of a change in national income do we want? We need a national income of change of a 750, no? So then can you work around and tell me how much do you get as change in G? That's what we are trying to find. So change in G here, you work around, you will get 150. Your government spending from at the level of 100, it has to change by another 150. So what is the required level then? The required level is initially there was 100 plus this change of 150. Government spending has to be 250. So whether you start from 1250 or 1750, it doesn't really matter. But it's better to start at 1750 because remember, guys, all the questions are connected to each other, right? So see, in part A, they say find the equilibrium. Then in part B, they say government expenditure rises to 200. So then when it rises to 200, you know our equilibrium national income is 1750. So you're going with that same story. And now equilibrium is 1750. And then they are saying, okay, if the government wants to go to 2000, now what should happen? Whatever method, whether you start at 1250 or 1750, your final answer that government spending has to increase by be 250 doesn't change. But it's better, more correct, I would say, right, to go with 1007. Is that fine, guys? That's one of the easiest 8 marks that you can get. Calculations like these, guys, are 3 marks if you know the thing. Shape, questions, problems. What is autonomous tax? Autonomous tax is just your normal tax. So if the question says tax equals 100, that's autonomous tax. That means it doesn't really depend on income. So ideally, if it has something like this, then that is this is the tax that is dependent on income. This is the autonomous component. That's your total tax. But in our syllabus, we don't have this component. It might be there in some papers that I make for the fast track or something. But still, in our syllabus, we only have this autonomous tax. Okay, right. So that is the end of 2015. Anything else? I all okay, can handle. You'll see that it's the same thing. They ask around 2-3 theory questions, come up with the calculation almost like free